Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 264. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman,
What up, everybody?
Philip Dassing,
What's going on, all you cool cats and kittens?
Kyle Wagner,
Hey guys.
and Comrade Yeshua.
Comrade Yeshua.
Yeah, Comrade Yeshua
Yeshua.
on the casting couch, on the PRL casting couch. Yeah, that's right. Josh Stavropoulos is back on the podcast.
Yeah.
Coming to you live from the next state I decided to live in.
Yeah, live from Florida. It's pretty
Oh,
crazy in
Lord.
Florida. Yeah, Josh is down there partying it up for spring break.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, no. All jokes aside, though, dude, it's great to have you back on, man. It's
It's good to see all you guys
it's-
again.
it's always a blast having you on the podcast, dude.
It's always a blast hanging.
Yeah, we've missed you dearly.
Ciao.
Seriously, dude.
Dude, just get over there and blow him. Why don't you?
Oh jeez. Hello.
Jared, come on, man.
And stay on the camera, dude. You're like half off.
Like I'm half off.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll just like turn this a little bit.
There you go. That's better.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like Michael J. Fox's opening of his new show that was only like two episodes long, where he would just drift off because he would shake his fucking chair off camera.
Jeez. Wow.
Dude, that
He
is,
joked about it.
Is that
He
real?
joked about it. Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like
he was
fucking-
on his own show.
sounds
That's
fucking
amazing.
horrible, dude.
It was on a Michael J. Fox show. It was like 3 or 4 episodes long, maybe a season.
Wow.
It got canned.
Mm,
He made fun
sad.
of his own. Yeah, it was pretty, but it was a good show though.
Good
Anyway,
to know.
moving on.
Yeah,
Piece of
so
information.
I guess topic number one is probably like this huge fucking stimulus, right? It's yeah, so the spending bill, I believe what did they ran it, what did they have to like run it like 3 or 4 times before all the politicians like added all their, cash payouts on there before they got it approved?
Yeah, I know it took quite some time. I think Nancy Pelosi had added some shit. I
Yeah, I
think
think I heard it was like 1,400
It-
pages or something crazy.
It originally was 1,200, but the revised is usually what you would expect to be shorter. Ended up being, I believe, was longer. It was insane. Like, I don't know why $35 million to the Kennedy Center needs to happen in the midst of a financial crisis.
yeah, what the fuck was that all about? The Kennedy Center is like they do like performing arts shit, right?
I mean, yeah, but the thing is, though, in reality, the namesake of said building would be fucking pissed at everyone for doing such that.
You mean Ted Kennedy?
No, well, I think it's the John F. Kennedy Center.
I'm just kidding, dude.
Yeah, God, I would hope so. Ted Kennedy Center is fucking Jabba the Hutt's barge.
I'm sure it's a lot of pork in that bill. I mean, There's-
Pork.
you
You never
know-
get any pork, I'm starving.
and I
Calm
don't
down, Phil.
obviously. I'm sure none of us have read it. I haven't read it. God knows what they threw in it. I'm sure it's, it's just ridiculous. But I think there's a little bit of money for unemployed people or for American people. But from what I'm hearing, that's not even most of it. The majority of it's going to not
Corporations.
just corporations and foundations and all kinds of just not American people, not your average Americans. Although they are getting checks. I heard, what is it, $1,200 a person?
1,200 for
Up to-
adults.
1,200 for
Yeah.
I think it's
adults. up
500
to-
for children.
Oh, okay.
Fair
Up
for each
to
child. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, like, I don't know. I think I'd love to know what all's in there. I'm sure you can find a summary online and maybe get some ideas. But who the hell-
there's some
who's
pretty
reading that?
weird shit in there. No, there's some pretty weird shit in there. There's tax credits for
Is there pizza party
solar
shit in
and
there?
wind. I don't know. There might be some Planet Ping Pong pizza shit in there. I don't know. Who knows? But there was another part of it was a $35 million for the Kennedy Center. There was also something else limiting carbon emissions It was all inflated shit. And then Maxine Waters' bill, which was about establishing an American digital currency.
Right. Yeah.
And that was basically, this was like the perfect opportunity for them because it involved, they could use relief payouts as a way to establish American digital currency. The one thing that it did was by even suggesting they should have it, they legitimized the value of all cryptocurrency. They fucked themselves entirely. If
So
they had
does
any
this
gripe,
thing have any legs? Or were they just kicking it
it got
around?
pulled out. No, it was in the bill originally, but that was one of the things that if you watch, and it's crazy, I think it was Ted Cruz. If you watch what he said about the bill, it was the weirdest thing in the world. It might have been the only time people may agree with him. Like everyone, it was like, he's like, what the hell does any of this shit have to do with this?
Right.
You want to help American people because you're just helping big businesses. He's like, tax credits, the Kennedy Center. What the hell is this shit?
Right.
He basically stuffed all other old bills that they couldn't get passed into the relief bill and said, well, you're fucking all of America if you don't sign all this in. So at least they could use some bargaining chips. Like Ocasio-Cortez went on a tangent about how they didn't get like funding for abortions. It's like, well, right now we need to help people that are alive first rather than think about what you may need down the road. Like,
yeah, dude, she went on she had a pretty good rant on the Senate floor. Everyone's like making fun of her for it, but like I heard like most of it. I'm like, yeah, she sounded like a broken clock thing, you know. She was right on pretty much everything she was saying. Because I think like what the thing is like totaling $6 trillion. Is that true? This whole thing. I mean, I've been hearing that figure thrown around.
2.3 trillion, and I believe only 97. There was 97 to 0 was the vote.
So yeah, but how much? I think 250 billion goes straight to us. That's it, like to the people. Like everything else goes to everyone, bailing out all these businesses and shit.
I mean, see now the bailing out of small businesses. It's interesting because a small business can take a loan, and if they use it to pay their rent, or give it out in wages to their workers, it becomes a grant and they don't have to pay it back.
Yeah, and is this even going to be taxed? Are people going to be taxed for this? Like what? Because it's like $2,400 per couple. Like, we're gonna have to pay taxes on that
I'm Matt
eventually?
Bergman, and you were listening to the
reflect
Punk
in the
Rock
next fiscal
Libertarians
year's
podcast,
taxes.
episode
Guaranteed, it's going
264.
to show in the next
I'm here
fiscal year's taxes.
Well, what happened when Bush did he gave $600 back in
tonight with Jared
2003
Schneiderman
or whatever?
What up?
He gave $600
everybody?
to everybody. Was that
Philip
also in
Dassing.
people's tax? Was that taxed later on?
What's going on, all you
next
cool
year?
cats and kittens? I believe so. I mean, I know at least when you sign up, if you sign up for unemployment, you can select whether you want them to take out taxes or not. You always want them to take the taxes out.
Fuck.
I mean,
this gets screwed a lot of people over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also gonna put a lot of people in interesting positions. You're gonna really find out who lives paycheck to paycheck, and it's a lot more people than they expected. A lot more.
At the same time, guys, like, I don't need a stimulus check. I haven't lost my job. I haven't lost any income. My girlfriend makes a decent living, and I make a decent living. So, like, I don't need money from people who make less or lost their job. I don't need them to be taxed to give me a stimulus check. You know what I mean? I just think anything like this, you should means test it or something. Like, maybe if I'd become unemployed, but I'm fortunate enough that my company's able to just go 100% work from home remote. We didn't lay anybody off. Everybody's just working from home, and it's business as normal for the most part, business as usual. So I don't think I don't know about that, but it's like, I mean, there's lots of people in my situation where they haven't had a loss of income. So why just give a check to everybody? You know what I mean? Like a blanket check to everybody. I just don't agree with that.
Well, I'm going to get back to you on that because I had a friend who was discussing like what you can do instead of cashing the check. Like there's actually something you can do as far as not cashing the check, and when they reallocate your taxes, there's something you can do with sending the check back and it will like increase your refund. something like that. I think that's one of the only other things you can do. So basically, you increase the amount, you get more of the theft returned to you.
Well, I heard like they phase it out at 75,000 or something, right? So it goes down to like $150. I don't know if that's true or not, but or
Something
it's a
like that.
gradual thing. I mean, so maybe there's something like that, but I don't know that I even would have done a stimulus check program. I mean, if anything, you could probably help these states with unemployment because I don't know if you guys saw the unemployment report came out and it was 3.2 million. I think it's a record for like new
Hmm.
unemployment claims. So these states are going to be scrambling trying to figure out how to pay all these unemployment claims. The unemployment insurance, I think is a racket for these states. Like, normally they're mandating that all these employers pay into it and they don't have to pay that much out, but it can backfire. Like this is backfiring. That's going to drain all of their reserves. They're going to need money to pay unemployment claims, and that's a way that the government could have like made sure the states can afford to pay all these claims. And those are people that lost their jobs and really are desperately going to need money at this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw it in Florida in one of I think it was what was it, like Lake Worth or Fort Worth, Florida, or something like that. A commissioner had it out like dirt on the floor with the mayor because the mayor had all delinquent um, utilities shut off and charged and made the people who they shut it off pay a fee to the city to turn it back on.
Yeah.
Like he
Fucked up.
lost his shit on her. I mean, it's some snaky shit going on. Like a lot of these companies, they're calling in their debts like right now. It's going to hit a lot more people than we know. Specifically, people that are struggling with addiction, um,
Hmm.
addiction and mental illness, or any type of like psychological injury. It's going to impact them the most because usually isolation is tends to be a negative thing. You know, and especially for people that are struggling with trying to maintain sobriety, it's got to be ridiculous right now. I mean, they do this as well. I know there are people who use Zoom to do meetings, but like it's got to be difficult right now for people that like have to rely on like you know that we rely on people to really help keep us in check.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's well, and then you have, I think we talked about this on a previous podcast, going back to the drug thing, but at least in Baltimore, the ports are closed, right? So how are these
Yeah.
people getting their drugs?
Shit. Hardly anyone's growing heroin in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Well, well, dude, did you see what Trump said that we're gonna have tremendous? He said tremendous suicides.
Did
Of
he
course,
really
he
say
said
that?
tremendous,
He said
tremendous.
he said we're gonna have. I mean, the thing is, man, like when he first mentioned like how it's gonna affect people that are dealing with addiction and mental illness, it was like, okay, cool, you said it. Stop, just stop right there. You got it. And he just kept going.
Mm,
And he's like, you're gonna see it, people. You're gonna see drugs used like never before. You're gonna see tremendous suicides. You're like, dude, you're trying to calm a nation. What are you doing?
yeah.
Like, I understand that maybe it's a potential of a reality, but that's not the way you communicate it, like at all. Like there's a better way to communicate
Right.
than tremendous suicides.
And also, you
Holy
just you
shit!
just don't know what's going to happen.
Don't.
You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we've never had to shut the economy down like this before, really. Now the question is there something else underlying? Because I mean, look, if the economy was actually very healthy underneath and you just shut it down, it would be like, when the stock market takes a momentary hit after 9/11, you know? Like, yeah, we had a pretty good economy in 9/11 in 2001, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
it takes a hit obviously when the towers fall, but after that, it bounces back. It's not millions of people out of work, it's just some people that
Yeah.
worked in New York are, not able to make money for the next week, and then they go back to work.
I
Well,
thought weren't we heading into recession in 2001? I remember like the Enron scandal was around there, and There was all
wasn't that
kinds
the
of
.com bubble burst or
yeah.
whatever
When
right
did
around
the
then?
dot when did the dot
was
I think
like
com
you're right.
burst?
I think that was before
2000
that.
something. Yeah, that was like
2000?
It was like
2000.
99 leading into 99 and 2000, especially with the
Yeah.
Y2K scare.
Yeah, I
This
remember
shit was
that.
It was
fucked
fucking
up around then.
hysterical back in the day.
So what was
Well,
the
okay,
thing
but
that
my
they
point
were
that
worried that all this software code, right, was just 2 digits for the year, and when the year changed to 2000, it was going to reset all the computer code. The computers weren't going to know what to do, right?
Right.
right.
Is
Yeah.
that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah,
Y2K. Yeah.
we were going to lose all of our money.
But
So
anyways,
dumb.
my point is, okay, I mean, I don't exactly remember what was specifically going on then, but I don't remember plummeting into a recession after 9/11. That didn't happen until like 2008, right? So I mean,
Yeah, I believe
unless
you're
we're,
correct.
huh?
You're correct on that. You are correct on that
Yeah,
because after 9/11, it was a huge drum up of patriot. What my friend and I like to he referred to as pocket Americans. It's like
yeah,
out of nowhere. Oh, something happened. Here's my flag.
right.
America, America,
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
A-
I like to call that flaggatry.
Right.
And I anticipate, a lot of companies that are having to lay off their work staff, um,
But a lot of them are doing it after they're getting the bailout money.
well, that too, but I mean, I'm just talking about small companies. Not every company is getting a bailout.
No,
Just like the fucking big corporatist ones, but like small AV companies, for example, I know we're laying off a ton of their workforce, and but I have no reason, I mean, depending on their financials, but I have, why wouldn't they be able to just rehire those people after, like once we're allowed to have, you know, uh, once we're allowed to have events and stuff, like why wouldn't they be able to rehire people, as long as they can sort of keep the company from completely vanishing, whatever bills they have to pay. But, I
I bet you
imagine,
never thought you'd ever have to say that, Jared.
huh?
When I bet you thought you'd never have to say that
Say what?
when we're allowed to have gatherings again.
I mean, yeah,
This is you have to really admit at one point that this does feel like quite a dystopian event.
it is
You know?
dystopian, I mean, it's hard to think about in the context of like a free society because we don't live in a free society. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely creepy that, you know, like we were
I
talking
think now
about.
is when people are going to realize it. Now
Yeah.
that people are realizing we were never really as free as they thought we were in the first
Yeah,
place.
I mean, well, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like we, we're not free, right?
Not at all.
I mean, you don't own, look, you don't even own the property that you're, if you own a house, you don't own the property under your house. I mean,
Nope.
you pay taxes on that. So, I mean, you don't even own the fundamental land that you exist upon. So, like, of course they can make you do whatever they want. And then once you venture off that land, then it's all public land. So it's like if they say you can't gather in groups of 10 people outside, then that's how it is. I mean, and
I
I'm
think
not saying that's how it should be, but that's the way it is with.
There is a bit of an interesting thing that I think is going to start to happen is now certain states, if you're coming from New York or you're in a vehicle that's from New York, you're stopped and you're being quarantined now. Like people are starting to dislike people and not trust people from other states.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna start getting this real tribalist bullshit. It's like gonna start to come back. Like sporting events when they come back are gonna be a little rougher than they used to be because you're gonna have all that underlying tribalist bullshit tension, dude. Like
I
when
know
Nashville.
what's Phil's license plate gonna say now?
It still says hate
It's
Philly,
gonna
all
say
right?
murder Philly.
No, I think you got a great point. I mean, people are going to be it's going to
Everything's
be extra
coffee in
flaggatry.
Philadelphia.
It's extra flaggatry going on.
Enhanced flaggatry.
Enhanced flaggatry.
Is that the podcast title?
That's got to be the podcast title.
I'll put it down.
But yeah, but no, so for sure it's going to be all the extra crap. Everyone, is just going to be like, oh, we got through this as Americans, America, America, America. And it's like, we were just shut down by the government apparatus, just shut everything down completely. And, with no real thought, just said, hey, everyone go inside, stay inside, and we're going to push it back indefinitely. So I mean, maybe this time next year things might be a little bit normal, but I don't really anticipate that.
I mean, what do you guys think? How long do you think this movement restriction is going to go?
Well, I
I
mean,
know, dude. It's like, how long is my cock?
so not very long, huh? I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
was
I
gonna
agree
say
with
maybe
that.
it'll maybe like April 2nd.
Damn it! What is
Yeah,
Jared's mother tell him everything?
yeah. She told me it was small.
I know, dude.
Um,
Little Petzel.
I mean, I don't know. Like you look at the figures, and the death count is still climbing. The total cases is still climbing. You know, I don't see it. I don't see these restrictions being lifted until that starts to decline significantly, or flatten the curve, as they say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be. I mean, nobody knows. That's the thing. I mean, what's his name, Dr. Fauci or whatever? Like he came out
Fauci,
and
yeah.
said it
Fauci.
could be. What do you say? Like a million cases and 200,000 deaths, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How many deaths are we at right now?
I should just have this up automatically because we always have to look it up.
Right. So it's like a few hundred. I think it's like a few hundred at
Yeah,
this
I think
point.
I've actually got it up on a tab on my laptop.
All right, so USA,
Yeah,
it's
so now it's
141,854 total cases, and then 2,475 deaths. So he's
So
saying,
108 over almost 187,000 more people are going to die is what this guy is saying. Like,
in his defense or whatever, he also says, like, don't hold me to that because you can't predict this thing. I mean, we don't know.
Then why
I
prognosticate
mean,
at all?
Well, I
Well,
mean, that's what these statistics are showing. If it continues at its current rate, but it's like you don't know what could happen. I mean, you don't know if it mutates and gets worse, or if
I heard someone said it mutated twice already. Is that
I
true?
I did
I
well,
have
I
not
did
heard
see
that.
an article that coming out of Iceland. I know it said Iceland had about 0.05% infection rate, and now they're up to about 1%. Um, and they had one, from what I've read. I've only seen this reported once. I didn't really do any more digging after that, but supposedly from what the article said was that the person had more than one strain active at the same time.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, all viruses mutate. I mean, whether they mutate and grow stronger, I guess would be,
Right, and that's all he's saying is like we don't know, but like it's the trajectory is still going strong. I mean, you look at this chart and it's still like hockey sticking up like that.
yes. So far in the world, we've had I think it's like almost 34,000 deaths from coronavirus.
Right.
And this
Yeah.
guy's
And so like if
this
we look
guy's
at the
projecting
flu,
187,000 more in just America.
Well, right now in the USA, there's been almost 2,500.
And they
Yeah.
can't figure out what to do about any of this shit. And
Yeah, but I don't know. With those numbers, it's like, okay, 2,500, but are you sure? Like, it's only because they got coronavirus that they died. It wasn't any other complicated issues. They were hanging on by a thread.
well,
Like
there's a lot of underlying conditions with this
yeah,
stuff.
it's just crazy how they make it sound. They're like, oh, just like any
but
person.
but there are people that are healthy that have gotten sick and
Right.
died from
I
this.
agree. Yeah, and I think it's really weird how like we were always told that when this first started breaking out that it was only hurting the old people, but around like here in Maryland, I know specifically, I think 56% of the cases are people 40 and younger.
Right.
It's happening
Well, I think
weird, oddly. I don't know
I
what to
think
make
the
of it.
meme was that it was like only gonna be dangerous for old people, and statistically that's true, but there have been cases where it's young people that have no pre-existing conditions or just something minor, like there's a thing about a nurse that's going around where I think the guy was like 28 and he had asthma, but like asthma's not, I mean, it's
Yeah.
an underlying condition, but it's not like you're a fucking like uh, you know an old diabetic with emphysema. Like you just got asthma and he
Right.
oh,
passed away.
you can
So
have varying cases of asthma too, though. Some
yeah, but
asthma
I
can
mean
be
the
more
guy was a
severe than
nurse.
others.
Like the guy was like able to work in like the ER.
I'm
So
gonna put you guys back down and just go get a fucking sweatshirt. It's getting a little too chilly in this bitch.
It gets you like you get pneumonia if you get pneumonia with it or something like that because it destroys your lungs
yeah,
and then your lungs fill up with fluid and you can't get enough oxygen into your bloodstream. So
Which is
it
strange.
yeah, it's getting people that yes, they do have other conditions or other health issues, but even if you're I guess healthy, it can still kill you if you just catch something else while you have it.
right.
So I mean it is
Well,
dangerous,
but
but
I mean, I that's why I think it's been here. I don't know. My daughter had this. It was like my wife and my daughter both got this really bad cough that just wouldn't go away. They felt miserable. I mean, it was really bad. And it started with my daughter. She got it first. My youngest. She was like only 2 at the time. This was like maybe back in January, and she
oh,
had a really bad cough. And so we all thought, oh, she probably has the flu, you know. And but so we tested. We took her to the doctor, and like, no, she doesn't have the flu, but like she has pneumonia. We're like,
Mm.
what? Pneumonia? Like, no one in my family's ever had pneumonia. It was really strange. And after like a few weeks, she was back to normal. But she had a really bad cough and fever, and she just like it hit her like really hard. And then my wife got it, and so my wife thought for sure she had the flu. But they tested her, and they're like, no, you don't. You're not. You didn't. She didn't test positive for the flu at all.
Mm.
But it was the same exact symptoms, and it went through our house. I think I was the only one who didn't really get it, and it was like the same thing. And that was back in mid-January, a little bit later than January, like mid to late January.
it's
I mean,
possible
And
they had coronavirus, Phil.
I mean, who knows? Like, who's to say?
yeah,
Because they won't test us. And I mean, you know what I mean? There was no test for it at the time, but like
right.
even now, like Matt, didn't you say that you knew someone who has like symptoms, but they won't test them?
Yeah,
Is that what
actually,
you just posted?
yeah, actually, a buddy that I work with, he went to the hospital he was there for 3 days, right? He's 67 years old.
Wow.
He's
Jeez.
overweight, and like he had symptoms, and they would not test him for the coronavirus.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, he's in the hospital for 3 days. They would not test him for it. On his discharge papers, his discharge diagnosis said, "quote viral syndrome." So it's my understanding that they're not testing people if the result of the test isn't going to change the way that they're treated, right? So
That's
because they don't
ridiculous.
have a lot of, does that make sense to you guys?
I mean,
Sort
I'm
of.
not.
Well,
mean,
they're
how are they
not
gonna
anxious to check. They're not anxious to check people if they don't show any symptoms.
No, like
And-
in other words, if they give somebody the test and if it turns out that they have coronavirus, they're still going to treat them the same way. They're not going to waste the test on them because they
That's
only
such
have so many
bullshit.
tests.
Yeah, I mean that
I
makes
I
haven't
mean,
heard
sense.
that.
they only have so many tests. There's a finite number of tests, Phil.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
but
not-
the thing is too is there's really no order of who's going to get the test.
True, Comrade Yeshua.
It just seems like it doesn't really matter who gets sick. It just matters on who's most important. And we already know like it's not us.
Man, it's pretty nuts though. Like this guy's a 67-year-old man who's like overweight, and he was in the hospital for 3 days, and they didn't give him a coronavirus test.
You would think
So-
that he would qualify for the test.
Exactly. He's not one of the 146,000 people that.
So then
no,
what
I'm
is this
sorry,
guy doing?
140,000 people so far in the States.
So
I
is
mean,
this guy
now-
not quarantined? Is he quarantining himself? I mean, I guess everyone's
Oh, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
quarantining
Well,
themselves, but
Well, like, see, here's the thing. Like, they told him that it's the doctors told him that it's quote probably coronavirus. They also told him to go home and self quarantine for the next.
You can't be telling people shit.
Yeah,
like
Josh.
that.
They also told him to go home and self quarantine for the next 14 days.
well, that's
Sounds familiar
smart.
to me.
But this guy, this 67-year-old man who's been in the hospital for 3 fucking days, who's overweight, is not one of the 140,000 people confirmed. 140,000 confirmed cases in the U.S. This guy is not one of them because they wouldn't test him, and he's been
Well,
in the hospital.
So
here's
yeah,
the
what you're
thing.
saying is this number is probably significantly higher. If that's
You end up getting
I
pneumonia
think
after
I
the
think that's
virus.
probably the case.
yeah.
It'll
I mean, if he
manifest as
had it, because we
pneumonia.
don't know for sure that he did. But yeah, if he did have it, which it kind of sounds like he did. Yeah, I mean this numbers, and so that does distort things a bit. But
and
I
then
was just looking at, people keep saying like, oh, it's just the flu. Right now, the CDC estimates that from October 1st through March 21st, there's been, and I mean, I don't know why these ranges are so wide, but it says 24,000 to 62,000 deaths from
That's
the
a
flu.
big gap.
I know. But like, let's say it's even the higher amount. We're currently at 2,500 for the coronavirus in a matter of maybe a month. Of course, like you said, it could have been here back in January. We don't know. But they're
Oh,
projecting if Fauci's right, the totals could be almost 5 to 10 times.
Well, that's what I
Uh,
think these initial tests are. These initial tests are just confirming the cases that were already here, like the initial first wave of this shit. That's why people are like, oh my god, it's spreading every day. But no, the testing just confirming that it already has
oh
spread.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
already been here. Like I said, this one person who had it, I think we talked about this last week, was that this little kid had it. This is like a first grader or kindergartner, I think it was, in one of the schools nearby my house, and the mom went on the Facebook group for our local town and was like saying like, yeah, like the school's downplaying it, saying we didn't get it from school, but she's like, she was in school when her symptoms started. Like this is like, she's like, they're lying. Like
yeah,
they're lying to cover their ass. But I got this from someone else who was at the school. Like my daughter, we don't travel. We keep a clean house and we don't have visitors. It's just us in our family. In our tight family unit. Like just no one else. Like we don't go anywhere or do anything. And so it's like it's weird that she would be the first one showing symptoms, and she came from school, and it was like the day before school, or it was even when school was still going on, actually. And so that just tells me there's someone else had it at her school
right,
and was just going around, and either A, didn't report themselves, or they were asymptomatic.
right. But I mean, it is definitely spreading quickly because I mean that's why you have
I agree to
this
that too.
overloading in New York, where all of a sudden all these brand new cases are popping in, and they're all happening at the same time. You
Oh,
know.
that's something we didn't mention, is that Donald Trump's weighing in he's weighing his option of quarantining New York and Connecticut and New Jersey.
So what does that
Remember
mean?
that?
Just restricting travel completely from there?
Yeah, well, have you guys seen the roadblocks in Rhode Island? Have you guys seen that? Do you guys see any
No.
pictures of that shit? They're like stopping people on
yeah,
the side of the road who are coming in from New York, and they're giving them like temperature checks, and like they're turning people around
mhm,
and saying like you can't come in Rhode Island and shit.
yep. Well,
Pretty fucking
they're
crazy.
also doing it down here in Florida on the Alabama-Florida border,
Really?
entering, not leaving, entering.
The
It's
Floribama
Holy
because
Shore?
shit.
Well, because the thing is, though, the outbreak of cases and the increase of cases have been because of people coming here on vacation. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
the same kind of bullshit that's going on out in the Hamptons on Long Island, like the real disdain the locals have for the people that come out there to summer and vacation. A lot of it's going on here because they're the ones that are panicking. They're the ones that are buying everything out of the stores, and all the locals that live here are basically, kind of left with the bones.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
now they're
unfortunate.
blocking people from coming in.
Well, did you hear what someone did in Maine?
No.
No.
So there was, I guess, somebody was, there's tourism in Maine this time of year, I guess, because like I guess the leaves are coming out, or I don't know, maybe that's in the fall. Either way, there were some tourists up in some town in
The
Maine.
leaves come out in the spring, Jared.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's like the leaves coming out or the leaves falling that they like to go up there for. I think
Well,
it's
that's
when they
fall.
fall. Yeah. No shit, dude.
Springtime for
Fuck off.
pizza and Germany.
But anyways,
Some of
so
you guys have
there
seen
were some
that.
tourists that were up there. I guess they were renting like an Airbnb or something, and they they woke up and something like they had lost their cable reception or their cable TV or whatever. So they went out to like find the cable box, and as they were driving out, they found that there was a fucking log in the middle of the road. And as it turns out, and okay, so they stop and they check out this log, and then the residents of the area start like coming towards them, like
Oh
threatening them,
shit.
telling them to like get back in their house. So apparently they
What the
thought
fuck?
just because these people were from out of town that they were infected with coronavirus, and so they had physically
It's
barricaded them into
log.
their
It's better than bad. It's good.
what's that?
It's log.
It's log.
Yeah, yeah.
Log.
So basically, they had tried to barricade these people into their rental, just because they thought they had corona because they were from out of town.
That's fucked
Dude,
up.
it's
Yeah.
this is this is the kind of shit that's going to become a little more commonplace. Like, this is also why, like, I've asked people, like, hey, should I think about like traveling and getting out of here, or should I stay where I'm at? Like, the worst thing that I can think of is some kind of lockdown, quarantine, local government bullshit happening, where it doesn't really matter what Uncle Sam says, and my ass gets stuck.
Hey, Josh, have you thought about returning home to Manbunistan?
No. The Taliban. And,
Do you still have your passport?
Yeah. The Taliban has been removed from government, and now the people of Manharistan are free.
Talk about xenophobia, dude.
Yeah, man.
Like, this shit, like, people are so afraid of outsiders right now. Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like, you have a New York license plate, like, get them.
Well, first it was just like all Asian
funny,
people.
Man. It's going to be funny. Those New York hardcore bands are going to go on tour, and some people are going to learn. Hey, where the hell are you from? New York? Oh, yeah, we fucking are.
Nah, dude, they canceled all their tours. All the New York hardcore bands canceled all of them, man. Sick of It All was coming with Agnostic Front, and I'm pretty sure they just canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised to hear if there was concerts going on anywhere in the country.
I don't think
Autobar is still advertising. Autobar is still
coming
advertising.
from you live from the hospital, Sick with It All.
Wow. Wait, would you say Autobar still advertising
That was awesome.
shows?
See, I think Sick with It All, that would be a good podcast title.
There it
too.
is. That is exactly the podcast title. Right
Yeah.
there.
Not enhanced flaggetry?
Dude, that outweighs
I think I like Flaggetry Intensified. If you were going to go with that.
The
No, that's
Dependents. Milo files his taxes.
But I like Sick with It All. I like Sick with It All. Yeah,
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Sick with It All.
But so I saw Autobar, like, a sponsored post came up on my feed of some type of like random ass band, like and the Autobar put it out. It was like, yeah, coming at they said like it was like March 30th or something, or it was something really close. I'm like, I don't think that's going on right now at all.
It might have just been like pre-programmed or pre-scheduled.
It might have been. It might have been. I don't know. It was still weird though. I'm like, wow.
It's really funny hearing these commercials lately. Like, there's all this pandemic talk, and then out of nowhere, it's like, hey, Corvette owners, are you ready to upgrade? Now's the time. It's like, no, now is not the fucking time. Now's the time. Now is the time to go to the surplus store and hopefully find a guy who can hook you up with a Humvee. Fuck. No, the pre-program ads. I mean, I know at least where I am, everything's shut down until minimum fucking April. Like, everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
There's
all
nothing
the
going on.
festivals that are happening, a lot of them have been canceled or postponed.
The Libertarian Party is still desperately trying to hold on to Austin. I was just on a conference call with that they hosted with Sarwark, and they're saying that they're not going to cancel it or like move on to like the contingency plan until 2 to 3 weeks out before it starts.
Dude, come on.
That's stupid.
It's not going to happen. It's
That's
not going to happen.
But the thing is, though, is they're like, they made a great point. They're like, by our bylaws and state laws, they have to convene at a spot in order to then modify the rules to allow an online convention or something like that. So they still have to meet. Like, they have to meet in a certain spot. All the LNC has to meet in a certain spot.
So what you're saying is the Libertarian Party is more concerned with actually finding quorum than fucking Congress.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, I mean, if that doesn't say at least something to anybody that's not at least looking into voting for Libertarian candidates, I think it should speak very highly. You know, now's the time to look into other candidates, especially now.
Ironically, the Libertarian Party is stickler for
apocalypse.
Rules.
Yeah. Yeah,
they are very stickler for rules.
Like, does it say that the meeting can't be online?
Yeah, it cannot. You can't just have an online meeting. You have to physically meet in order to maintain ballot access through law, like through like federal law. Like, they have to meet in person, and once they meet in person, then they can alter the bylaws.
Isn't there someone they can go to on the federal level and say, like, look, we don't want to?
It's unprecedented. They're looking. They're actually like trying. They had a whole list of contingency plans, and a lot of them suck. but a few of them were pretty good. But for the most part, they all sucked. There was like they had like contingency plan A through J that they had.
Damn.
It's
I mean, I haven't
it's
bought my
A through
ticket
J.
yet, so
Phil, when I went to the one in New Orleans, it was like a lot of it is just people that like to hear themselves talk and like to be the center of attention. They like to
Yeah.
get on that microphone and they're like point of order or point of personal privilege, and they just go on and on and on. There's a bunch of
Look at
guys.
me, suck my liberty penis.
Yeah, they
That was,
just
hey,
like
that was
to.
Mike Shipley, but he did his speech in a punk rock libertarian shirt.
Blowhards.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll get you, when it's your turn to speak, that's fine. But I'm saying like there's a lot of people that are just normal members there that just like to get up to the microphone just to hear themselves talk.
Oh,
And
I know.
it's
I've seen
annoying as
videos.
shit. It's really
Yeah.
annoying.
Well, I mean that goes for all of society.
Well,
You
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what we're
But
doing here?
yeah, a little bit.
We're not forcing anybody to listen, though.
That is true.
It's
That is
all
true.
voluntary.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Yep.
on a show. We're doing a show, and it's the five of us. But I'm just saying, this is a convention, and it's like 500 people in the room sitting there, and like one guy has to get up there and just with say nothing, just to get on the microphone. It's I don't know. I didn't enjoy it, but that was my experience.
Well, I mean, I think there is something to the fact that like they have to meet in order to maintain ballot access in 50 states. Like they have to put a candidate out. It has to be before June 12th, I think, is the like, the end date. Whether because they were talking about if we postpone the convention to the 12th, it can be no later than the 12th, or like states like New Hampshire will lose ballot access if they don't have it before like June 12th, and that's just like it's really bad. It's so I don't know. There's really no good options except for having an online, which is I think what's going to happen. They're going to have like some type of like the LNC will meet in Austin. They'll then agree to changing the bylaws to allow an online convention. And once they do that, then they're gonna have like the Zoom conference with like 1,000 people on it, and they're gonna vote on for candidates and shit, which is gonna be really lame as fuck. But
It's gonna be
I
a
guess it needs
complete
to be done.
disaster. It's gonna be
Oh,
a complete
I know.
disaster.
Well, there was I do
Hey,
give credit. There,
hey, guys, somebody in the comments said that Kyle Wagner looks like a boomer.
that was a while ago, dude. That was Norm or Nomar, right?
It's
Nomar?
special. He looks like a fucking telemarketer.
I got my
He
little
kinda does.
my headset.
Dude, you're
Where's
the
your cat,
fucking
dude?
IT. Dude, you're the IT department, and fuck.
Wait, why are you using the headset? You're not using the snowball?
No,
It's
I
no
wanted
ball.
I wanted to be able to hear through the earpiece.
Okay.
I want to be able to use what I got. Damn it! I don't need your newfangled technology.
That's fucking hilarious.
Need your snowball, whatever the hell it is. Back in my day, those were cupcakes. Damn it!
Oh
So,
god.
But let's talk about Massey, man. I've been like
Yes.
kind of not worried about it, but like annoyed, I guess, by the entire world hating Thomas Massey. And I think most libertarians are kind of standing behind him. So, but Phil, I'm getting a warning. My internet connection's unstable. You want to explain what happened?
All right.
Oh, shit.
First, I would like to
You're
talk
the
about
IT guy. Why we don't know why your internet connection's unstable, Kyle.
yeah, Kyle. dude.
IT guy.
Okay, so first I want to put this tweet out there. So this Thomas Massey shared this. He said the stimulus package that just passed is the biggest wealth transfer from common folks to the super rich, Wall Street and bankers in the history of mankind, done in the name of a virus with $1,200 checks as the cheese in the trap. This will be obvious in short order.
Yep.
So yeah, so from what I've heard about this bill, I think everybody's like $1,200 check is like 15% of the bill, and then the rest is just like all a bunch of like just
It's all
bullshit,
earmarked
right?
bullshit that they stuffed it in, man. It's all fucking pork.
I saw it's a lot of money to the airlines. The airline industry is basically getting bailed out, and I know there's like 17 billion for Boeing. A lot of defense contractors are getting additional billions. So
Hmm.
the majority of the money is going to big corporations. Um, you know, it is. It's a very like everything else. It's a crony deal, and they wrapped it up in a this is for the American people, and it's for the virus, and it's really a corporate bailout. And there's a lot of government guaranteed loans and things like
For the
that.
virus. I'm
Yeah.
doing my part.
Yeah, and these government guaranteed loans, I mean, they promote risky loan making, right? Because you go, well, I wouldn't normally give you the money, but because the Treasury is backing it, I will. So it creates a moral hazard. It's just like with the banking crisis. I mean, with Fannie and Freddie, they always had the perception that the government would bail them out, and so investors were more likely to take their debt, buy their debt because they figured that the government would bail them out, and the government did bail them out. So
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know,
for small businesses though, the loan changes into a grant if they use it for their specifically. I saw if it's used for employee wages, the small business loan then turns into a grant.
that sounds correct. Yeah, so you don't have to pay it back, right?
Yeah,
If you,
and it goes and
um,
it becomes you don't have to pay it back, but then it would go directly to your workers who are impacted by your closing.
yeah, thus saving you money on, so you have other money to spend on, paying the owners, right? Like money is fungible. It's like if you give me money and I put it in my account, I can say, oh yeah, I use that money for this, but it's all just a pot of money at that point. So yeah, you could pay your workers, and then you could, that will
Buy a
allow
hooker.
you as an owner to take a withdrawal or whatever.
Yeah.
Y-
Cool. Well, I think we're at the hour mark about.
Are we?
Matt.
No, because we started 10 minutes late.
Oh, we did start
Yeah,
10
what are you
minutes late.
talking about?
Yeah.
Trying to ruin the podcast, Jared.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. So, yeah, Phil, why don't you we have a new sponsor on the Podcast Libertarians podcast, and why don't you tell everybody about them?
Right. So, Moral Bob has been blowing up everywhere. Everywhere I turn and every podcast I hear, like Moral Bob is brought up, and he has a new podcast called Conversations About Freedom. And I mean, he was just on Johnny Adams' podcast just the other day, and dude, he's been rocking. He's been killing it, man. And you guys should check it out. I think he's like third or fourth episode of his podcast is up. I would definitely recommend you guys check it out. He's a really good friend of the show, and
And what's the podcast called again?
Conversations About Freedom.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, man,
It's up
check
on
it
the
out.
ranker too, so
Yeah,
if you like it, go check it out on there. LibertyPodcastRanker.com.
Yeah, and then
dude, we're doing pretty good too.
Huh?
We're doing pretty good on that. We're in the top 10, I think.
Yeah, man.
So try to get more Bob, man. Give him some likes. Give him some upvotes.
Nice.
Give him some respect.
and then
Right.
from here, Phil, you wanted to talk about Tiger King. Everybody's been talking about Tiger King.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to talk about Tiger King.
I like all you cool cats and kittens listening, man. Like, is that not the most? Who has watched this? Have any of you guys watched this thing all the way through?
I haven't
Yeah, I watched
watched
it
it
all
Kyle's
the
yet,
way
raising
no.
his hand.
I have.
It's the most insane. Like, it's like a car crash that just keeps happening, and there's just bodies flying out of the car, like left and right. And you can't not watch them flail out of the car and land on the ground. It is the most absurd shit I've ever seen in a Netflix documentary. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my wife was like, "We should watch it." I heard someone say something about talk about it. I was like, "Why the fuck do I want to watch these weirdos with big cats?"
Yeah.
And she convinced me to watch it, and it was literally the most insane shit that I've ever seen. And the memes have been immaculate.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
dude.
just so good.
The
so
memes
funny.
alone make me want to watch it.
Let me give you some background.
Exactly.
Let me give you some background about the show. I mean,
Please do.
it's about this guy Joe Exotic who owns a tiger zoo in Oklahoma, and who coincidentally ran for governor of Oklahoma as a libertarian. So there's a libertarian connection here, and they mention the word libertarian multiple times throughout the show. And in fact, Jess Mears just recently had his campaign manager on her podcast.
Really?
He's not a
um,
libertarian, though. He's not a libertarian, and it pisses me off that everyone keeps
How do
talking
you know
about him as
this,
a
Phil?
libertarian.
How do you know
Because
this?
because he's a fraud.
Wait, how do you
I
know
okay.
this?
Joe Exotic or the
I
campaign
have the docs.
manager?
I have the docs. I will
Okay.
post the docs. I will send you guys the docs.
There's rock hard docs.
So
This is Otto Jones. I'm here coming to you live with the documents.
Otto Jones. Can you change your name to Otto Jones?
maybe.
I mean, you're already using a fake first name.
Phil,
Yeah,
who's a fake libertarian?
Betty Bambalam.
So what's his name? Brian, right? His name. Okay. So I just went. Okay. So going back to so in this so watching the documentary. So Joe Exotic runs for governor. He runs for president, and then he runs for governor of Oklahoma as a libertarian. So he hires this. Campaign manager, and it's so funny because like I told my wife, I was like, yeah, he's gay. His campaign manager is gay. I was like, yeah, everyone Joe Exotic worked with is gay except for his husbands.
Wait, the campaign manager was gay?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's gay. Yeah,
Oh, really?
No, he was. He's a fiance. And so I first heard about him when about in January or something like that. He had into a fight with the Oklahoma LP because there's something about like you had to like travel to go vote for like and for their state convention or something like that. He had to travel and he was like cost him like he said like $1,000. I just remember rumblings of talking about this guy who's more like a leftist than he is a libertarian, and he rage quitted the party. He was like, I'm quitting the party, and so eventually he became a Democrat. And on his page now, you can still see it says he's a proud Democrat. He says, I'm going to work within the Libertarian Party. Or he said, I'm going to work within the Democratic Party to push forward the ideals of libertarianism, whatever the fuck that means. And he's going around. He made this documentary, I guess, when he was still in the LP. So he was like, fuck the Fed. So everyone keeps sharing this meme around. And I'm like, if you know him now, he literally made a post on Facebook saying that he was leaning towards Liz Warren, but he ended up voting in the primary for Joe Biden.
Oh, jeez.
So this is who you're dealing with.
I thought you said he's a libertarian socialist.
Yeah, if you thought like I went to his page because after I was like, that's right. I remember people saying like on that same post where I heard like he rage quit the LP. Some people were saying like, oh, I heard he killed a guy or something. He killed the guy he was working for or something like that. And I was like, that's weird. And so then it all made like it connected the dots for me. I'm like, oh shit, this is why. Because if you've seen the documentary, you know, spoiler alert, like one of the guy killed himself in there in an accident, and right in front of this guy Brian.
I don't think it was an accident, dude.
Yeah, well, who knows, man. But so anyway, so I knew about this guy before all that, and people were like, if you look at his page now, like he shares a lot of like the libs, like the typical libertarian socialists. Like he shares a lot of their pages, a lot of their memes, a lot of their groups, and he talks like one, for most of his posts and stuff. But yeah, he's
a
no
lib sock.
I mean, he comes off it. I don't know if he claims that. I don't know him personally enough to say that, but we have a bunch of mutual friends too as well.
We just like to make
I'm sure you guys. Yeah, this is assertion basement too. Okay, I'm also in assertion basement. Wherever I am is assertion basement. It's like Air Force One.
Home office.
Right. It's like Air Force One. Any room I'm in is assertion room. Okay.
Oh shit.
Josh, did you just like drop your bong, dude, on the casting couch?
Oh no, dude. I'm using my damn phone for this shit.
You just went through an earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the lady.
Comrade
in the show,
Yeshua, the resistance needs you.
Oh no, man! I fell, bro.
The lady in the show lives in Florida. You could go visit a big cat rescue.
Right, go to Tampa, dude. Go to Tampa. You cool cat and kittens out there.
I live right outside of Tampa. I live right outside of Tampa.
Please go, Josh.
Phil,
please go.
Yeah,
Phil, do you think she killed?
During all this, dude, I don't want to be there during all this. Dude, fuck that.
Dude, I don't think cats can get corona though.
No, she'll feed me to the fucking cats.
Probably. That's what she did to her husband for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Oh
Phil,
God.
do you think she killed her husband, Phil?
Oh, of course she did. Did you guys hear what she said? She says literally, she's like, oh my gosh, you don't put cologne on your shoe to get a cat to bite you. You have to like dip them in sardine oil if you want a cat to eat a person. Like, that's very strange, Carol. Very strange how you would know exactly how to kill someone and ride tigers. Like what
Such
the
a
fuck?
such a strange thing to know very much about.
Right. Right.
What
Oh
was
my
her, and
god.
her name's what?
Carol Baskin.
Baskins.
Well, I think her
Carol.
legal name is that fucking bitch, Carol Baskin.
Oh.
Yeah. So she
Oh my
she
God.
like changed the will and like because somebody
Yes!
else had power of attorney and she took that person's name off and then changed the will and gave her all of her ex-husband's stuff or all of her husband's stuff.
But did
You
you see
know.
the detail? The detail said, if in my disappearance,
Got to die.
not in his death, in his disappearance,
Yeah. See
it got changed.
that whole thing was definitely a complete fraud. And I mean, there were no heroes in the show. You wanted to like
No.
somebody, and
No.
every
Everybody
time
was
you
a
start
huge-
liking somebody,
Who was-
Everybody
who
was
was
a
the
garbage
motherfucker?
person.
yeah,
Except for
exactly.
the
You didn't notice
workers.
one thing: the one dude wearing the clutch shirt.
Right, yeah, that guy. He's like, fuck everything. He's like, fuck. He's like, I don't. They ask him, what is it? He's like, how many wives do you think that dude has? And he's like, I don't give a fuck. Everyone else gives an answer. Everyone's like,
listen to
four.
clutch.
Right, that dude was fucking funny.
I don't know.
Well,
I thought
God.
I thought the workers were sympathetic though. Like like the chick
Yeah.
that like lost her arm. I just felt bad for her.
Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah.
Minus the flex that motherfucker had when he just put on the leather EMT jacket.
Right. Who puts on an EMT jacket after your coworker fucking gets her arm ripped off, and he just goes into his office, pulls out an EMT. Who has an EMT jacket?
A fucking
Is that what that
And
bomb
he's
was?
on
like-
I didn't
top of it.
understand that.
And then the only
It
thing
was
he
like
says is, "I don't know how I'm ever gonna financially recover from this." Like, dude, what a callous motherfucker.
I love how he goes into the gift shop with all this. There's a picture of a little girl sitting in her stroller, and he's like, "All right, I don't want y'all to hear this from TMZ or nothing, but a few hours or an hour ago, someone got stuck their hand in the cage, got their arm ripped off." And like they pan to like the crowd of people, and they're just like stunned, like, "Why the fuck are you telling me this?" There's a little girl in a stroller. Like, what the fuck?
He can't just
This
be
is-
like,
this-
"Hey, we had an issue. Everyone has to leave."
But in fairness, he offered him
It's a
refunds.
cat's world,
He
little
did.
girl, and we just live in it.
Oh my god! It's the most.
How good is
absurd
this
shit.
guy's zoo? Apparently, it makes straight guys. It makes straight guys marry him.
A bag of meth is a bag of meth, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
It was
has
like-
two young husbands, and they were both straight.
Dude, and what was with that dude's haircut? The business guy, the fat guy. He had
Oh
like
my
that
God.
like weird bowl cut thing.
Right,
Yeah.
they call him the walking Chucky doll.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck?
That's exactly what he looked.
How do you even get
He
your
was
hair
a
to look
fat
like that,
dude.
man?
He was a Fed. They all set up Joe. They all set him up. Like, what
People
the fuck?
like this exist in real life.
Right, that's all I kept thinking about. Every aspect of this show was more absurd. Everything, just
Dude, the
even their
hitman, the almost hitman guy.
Right? Why is he giving an interview
He was like
in a
Sling Blade,
bathtub?
dude.
He's giving an interview in a bathtub.
Yeah,
What
what
is
the
this?
Hey, look. The only person I've seen, the
Ugh.
only guy I've seen give an interview with his shirt off longer was Matt Pike. If anybody knows who Matt Pike is, from the guitar player from Sleep.
Did not
Nope,
know that.
nobody.
Interesting.
Nobody.
Wait, you said Deep Sleep?
No, the band is Sleep. You know
Sleep?
the stoner band
Just
Sleep.
No.
regular sleep, dude.
No, okay. I was like, I know Deep Sleep, but not Sleep.
REM, is that your favorite band? What?
What?
All right. Okay.
How
So
dare
we're
you.
gonna so
Anyway.
we're gonna cut this shit off and take it on over to After Hours. If you hit us up at patreon.com// punk rock libertarians and contribute a minimum of $1 per month, you can catch our After Hours program. We also have t-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. Is everything okay, Jared?
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, live free.
Or die.
Cool cats and kittens.
Cool cats and kittens. Jesus Christ.
Fucking Carol Baskin, that crazy fucking bitch.
Hold
They're
on,
all-
guys. We're still alive.
I don't
Yeah.
care. They're all.
How dare you
They're
talk
all-
about Carol while we're
Dude,
live?
they're all cult leaders. It's like pick your cult leader. Like pick one. Oh
Kanye
god.
apparently is a big pick for a cult leader.
I'll choose Kanye.
Dude, I would go to one of those Sunday services. I've never seen people so enthusiastic to try and find church.
It's crazy, man. Now in state of Maryland, you can't even have a church service.
See, like,
insane.
dude, guys, right now on Facebook, our podcast is still streaming live. It looks like we're like
Who
20 minutes
cares?
behind. No, my point is, I think it started streaming like
No,
20
No.
or 30 minutes
it's
before we
delayed.
did.
It's delayed.
It's delayed.
It's delayed by
saw
like
it.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
So
not
we can
20
we
minutes.
can like watch ourselves in the future,
It's
in the past.
it's not
Here
20
and
minutes.
now.
No, like my point is, I think after it's done streaming, maybe we should check and make sure, like, because it seems like it might have
All right.
started streaming like 20 minutes before the podcast started.
It appeared we did. Yes, it did start a few minutes before.
It wasn't
we
the
started
40 minutes
streaming.
that you messaged me though, Matt.
Well, I sent you a screenshot and it said at that time that we were on for 40 minutes. That's what the screenshot says.
No, okay.
That's
so
when
That's
the
a
post
picture,
was
that's a picture of
created.
Facebook.
Yeah, I see. I can
Yeah.
see things.
We
But
still
no,
it
on
was-
now.
But like the
started-
actual timer, it says just if you go to it, it says
Threat level midnight.
Threat level midnight. That's amazing. Okay,
Isn't this
I'll tell you
Spanish
exactly
metal
when it
comes-
started. It
I
started
mean,
when
that's why I think
Josh showed us the
same
pillow
thing. That was back
of,
in mid.
Threat level midnight,
yeah.
like about a
Jeez.
minute before we started live. But then the screen went black. The screen went black after he showed the picture. It doesn't appear that there's audio. I'm looking at it now. It doesn't appear that there's audio
level
until
midnight.
about a
I'm in-
minute in.
I'm in there right now.
Hold on
and
a
it looks like the
second.
video is 31 minutes long somehow.
And then
My
the
wife
video
died.
is 29
So
minutes.
my
wife thought for sure right now.
Threat level midnight.
Threat level.
Yeah, see, something's way fucked up here.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing I can do. It's just there's probably a million people streaming to Facebook, and it's just fucking up. It's clogging up all the pipes, as
I think
Al Gore would say.
You know what?
I mean,
I think Matt
but-
might be right. It canceled it at 31 minutes in. It
Yeah,
canceled
that's
the
telling you it
podcast.
was 30-minute long. So, but Jared, do you still have like the audio from the
Yeah,
whole
I
thing?
record everything
Okay,
right
cool.
to disk. So
Okay,
I mean,
cool. Yeah, I was
And I
just
think
curious.
the YouTube is closer to reality, but yeah, I think we had that same issue with Facebook last week.
So the YouTube was working tonight.
I might have to call Comcast, but I doubt they're going to be able to do anything.
Let me check the YouTube.
It might
Let me
even
check
just
the
be Facebook doing it.
Might be, my app is really slow on my iPod
Yeah.
or iPad.
It's like I'm not
Yeah.
even going through Caster. I'm like literally going straight
Podcast is
through.
still streaming live. It looks like we're like
Who
20
cares?
minutes.
I mean, it's not streaming anymore. It does say
Yeah,
it is
but-
though.
But maybe we should have kept it streaming. That's weird that it ends at 31 minutes.
Oh,
What?
It does still say that it's live, but like I turned off OBS Studio so it can't stream anything.
Let's see what's going on. I'm gonna watch it now. Unless this is still alive, that would suck.
You get to see
Okay, it's-
yourself.
Dude, it's a black screen.
Dude, we're actually about to start recording our after hours program.
All right, well, let me just hold on. Let me go back in. All right, yeah, you're right.